Hi, my name is Brittany, and I'm here with Dr. Kevin Reese, featuring his beautiful skeleton,
Yeah, that's Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with him after the show.
He's in the hot seat, has no clue what kind of questions I'm going to be asking him, so stay tuned.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Probably a lot of your followers don't know that you are actually a DJ.
I would say all of them don't know.
Okay.
Probably.
So this is probably really like gonna put people into a tailspin.
Yeah.
So you were a DJ for Hot 93.7, which is Connecticut's #1
hip hop and R&B.
Yeah. It's crazy to see how you went from that realm
to health.
To health.
Yeah.
So what epiphany? You had to have had an epiphany. There had to have been.
Well,
did you have? So you went from there to here.
Yeah, I had some health concerns in my late 20s. I ended up going from doctor to doctor and, ER trips and things like this. And then I just had this huge epiphany that they didn't have any answers. And it scared the snot out of me. Being a leader and an organized type of person, I just said, I'm going to figure this out on my own. If I'm on my own, I might as well figure it out on my own. And I did. I started studying, and that was the spark that set everything in motion.
Okay, that's kind of scary though. Like, I'm not going to ask personally what your health issues were unless you want to go into it. But how does somebody just say, I'm going to just start studying and figure out, like, how did you go from studying whatever you needed to study to get to this point?
Well, I had to realize that health can be broken up almost into two categories. You have acute, which is you need medical, right? You need the ambulance, you need the emergency rooms. It's a heart attack, it's a stroke, it's a broken bone. But then there's chronic.
Yep.
That's the fibromyalgia and the herniated disc and the bunions and the migraines and things like that. They have no answers for chronic. They just give you pills or injections, or
right.
possibly
it's like a Band-Aid. They just cover it over and hope that.
Right. So that was my realization, and so I started studying the chronic side and realizing that the body does know how to heal itself. I mean, we're made up of mostly soft tissue.
Yep.
We know it heals itself. We get a cut, it heals. We get a bruise, it heals. And it's just like, well, why can't your liver? Why can't your kidneys? And what's causing it? And then you figure out what's causing it, and then you just reverse the process. And it's just that simple.
So did you heal yourself?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
How long did it take you to heal yourself from when you started how about from your onset to healing yourself, studying and everything in between?
About a year, yeah.
So that's kind of like when you realized, like, okay, I'm going to do this. What year was that?
This is 09? Okay. 08, 09, something like that. And then people at the radio station started noticing, and they're asking me questions, and then I start helping them. And then it starts feeling like, oh, I kind of like this. You start coaching a little bit. And then I decided to go to a coaching school, a health coaching school. And never did I think, PhD, never, and certainly not head to toe healer.
Right.
But
look at you now.
Yeah, things just happen. I tell people all the time, I didn't choose this. It's like this chose me.
It chose you.
It chose me. So I have no idea how I'm in this position. It's just
fate.
The best I can chalk it up is divinity.
Yeah. So you've been very candid about your distaste for medical professionals and I guess their way of going about healing people. So what makes you so confident that your way of healing is maybe better or superior than theirs? Like if you
Yeah.
had to debate.
Well, they don't heal. They're not trained to heal. They're trained to treat symptoms, and I'm trained to heal. So it's like I play hockey and they play basketball. So it's kind of like we're in the same general arena, but we're playing two different sports. And they've created a $1.6 trillion industry by treating symptoms. In other words, if they could heal your migraines or your fibromyalgia or your bulging disc or what have you, then they wouldn't be a $1.6 trillion industry.
True. Makes sense.
So, I've just developed a new style. As far as we know, I'm the only head to toe healer in the world. That's why I'm opening up an academy, so I can teach other people how to do it. So I'm not the only one.
How do you, that's another question that I had for you. How do you know that you're the only one in the world that you're a head to toe healer?
Because based on my research, I have never found anyone that can handle a brain condition and a foot condition. And that's literally head to toe and everything else in between. And so I remember the day I had this aha moment and I became curious and I started doing research. And I'm just like, after my research, I'm like, holy crap, I'm the only one. I'm the only one. And so that's when I was like, I have to start a school, because it would be, it's not about bragging that I'm the only one. It's about teaching other people so that I can be the original one.
Right.
Because this has to happen. People need to heal from these illnesses. It's like a secret.
Right.
And it shouldn't be a secret because it's common sense. Your body knows
How to
heal itself.
Right.
And so why are they guarding this secret? And why don't you have just one health practitioner?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to go to the foot doctor, the spine doctor,
Cardiologist,
the gut doctor, the heart
yeah.
doctor, the brain doctor, and then just to top it off, let's go see a dentist?
Right.
There really should be one practitioner.
Wait, are you pro dentist?
Well, it depends. There are holistic dentists out there. So, but my thing is, if you do what you're supposed to do and you get healthy head to toe, you probably don't need a dentist.
I mean, true.
I mean, they have fancy toothbrushes now. It's almost like getting a cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
And then, the gums, soft tissue. The teeth, hard tissue. It's really not complicated. If you're getting the proper nutrition for hard tissue, you're getting the proper nutrition for soft tissue, and your gut is working properly so that you're absorbing everything, your mouth is going to be taken care of just like your feet and your knees and your hips and your nose and your eyes, everything.
Right.
So, it's the medical monopoly, as I call them. They don't know how to do anything except stabilize you. They're stabilizers.
Put a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Their job is to make it so that they can send you home. If you ever been to an ER, they go, oh, you're stabilized, time to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go home and you're like, now what?
Yeah.
And they say, go see your primary care physician.
Make a follow-up appointment.
And the primary care physician knows nothing.
Yep.
They're gatekeepers. They're legal drug dealers. They're legal drug dealers. I had to say that twice. It's that important that people understand this. And at some point, it has to stop. It has to, because we're going to fall apart as an entire country. I can't speak for other countries, but I know in America, we're going to fall apart. You got too many people on disability. You got too many people who can't even go outside because they have to turn the lights off because they have migraines, or they can't move because they have fibromyalgia, or, you got these old people who are hunched over like this. All right. It's not normal. We've created a new normalcy of, oh, I saw one the other day. I saw this old lady. I would guess she's probably 80 years old, somewhere in there. And she's walking and she's bent over and she's using the walker and she's walking like this all the way to the car. And I'm like, this poor lady did not need to be in that position
Right.
if she took care of herself. So is it her fault? Technically, no. It's the medical system's fault because they're the ones that are supposed to be teaching us
They just
how to be
enable.
healthy. They enable you, right?
Doubling back to that old lady that
Yeah.
you were talking about, how if she took care of herself when, years ago, how should someone take care of themselves from the inside out?
Yeah.
Nutrition wise,
Yeah.
what type of advice would you give everybody, even me?
Well, I think the first bit of nutritional advice is to stay away from what I call the poor four foods.
I know it.
And that's gluten, oil, fried, and fake. That is going to take your inflammation way down and it's going to help you absorb the nutrients. That's step one, and that's pretty much my gift to people through social media is keep sending that message. And there's people healing all across the world just from getting off those four foods.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we had to make a recipe book and all that to try and make it easier.
So what is your...
But you also need to bring your carbs way down.
Yeah.
Because sugar, which is carbs, it will destroy your life.
Doesn't it feed the inflammation?
It doesn't necessarily feed the inflammation. It creates inflammation if you're not processing sugar properly, which would come back to nutritional deficiency.
Right, exactly.
So you need the proper nutrients, the proper raw materials in order to metabolize sugar. And so it's one huge snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so you bring your carbs down under 200 grams at least and get off the poor four foods. You will see huge improvement just from that.
So what does Dr. Kevin Reese eat on a daily basis? Like, what did you eat today?
Okay. So for lunch, which is breakfast, because I don't eat until 12:30.
Okay.
I had 4 soft scrambled eggs and a little bit of rotisserie chicken.
Okay.
That's it.
And then what do you do for...
After this interview, I will have an apple.
That's it?
That's it. And then for dinner, I will probably have a gluten-free pizza with a turkey burger on top.
You don't feel like
about 1,900 calories.
Okay. How is that 1,900 calories when you just eat an apple for lunch?
Well,
do you feel full? Like, are you... Because for me, I would never be able... I would be ravenous. There's no way that I would be able to get through each day just eating that.
Well, that could be a mineral deficiency. Because when you become deficient, you start looking to eat more. And this is evident at farms with the animals. When they get deficient, they start chewing on the barns. They chew on the fence. They're looking for minerals from the wood.
Right.
And then they go to the salt lick. They got the salt lick and they start licking the salt. Salt has minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've even seen, and I used to be vegan back in the day. And my mind was blown when I literally saw a video of a cow eating a chicken. I was like, whoa. My plant-based narrative was always, no, herbivores are meant to eat plants. No, I've seen a cow gobble up a chicken.
Where?
So why, on video, you YouTube it.
Oh, no.
So why would a cow eat a chicken?
Deficient.
Right. They're nutrient deficient, and they're saying, ooh, there's some bones and some cartilage, and I need that.
Something I need.
So they may not be looking at it as food. It's almost like supplemental,
Right.
So, it's, and same thing with carnivores. You'll find a carnivore eating eating a mango or something. They'll find a way to get what they need. And so, you know, when you're nutritionally deficient, you tend to eat more and you tend to look for salty foods. This is where the chips come in and the salty peanuts and all that, because salt has minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And so these food corporations, they're very aware of that. And so they make this food with high sodium. And so you're just sitting at the TV like,
Right.
but you're really just trying to find nutrition.
Right.
So if you get the right supplements and you start eating how I advise, your level of satiation goes up and your amount of food comes down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how obesity happens. They're looking for nutrients.
Right.
They're overeating and they're becoming huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, what type of supplements would you recommend?
Well, it all starts with the 90 essential nutrients. That's 16 vitamins, 12 aminos, 60 minerals, and 2 essential fatty acids. That creates the raw materials that we need. So we have a company we work with that it all happens behind the scenes, really. We
Okay.
don't give it to the public, but that's the baseline, is those 90 essential nutrients. And of course, most people need more because they're so deficient,
Right.
especially soft tissue. We have so much soft tissue, Brittany. I mean, your tendons, your ligaments, there's almost 600 bones. There's like 4,000 ligaments. And your fascia, that's like the elastic bands, right?
Yep.
It starts at the bottom of your feet, comes all the way to the top of your head.
Yep.
It's like we're so connected. It needs a lot of nutrition. Salt combines with calcium and creates hydrochloric acid. So that's how we get the stomach acid. So some people might not have stomach acid because they're deficient in calcium.
Right.
So it could go either way.
Right.
It's such a snowball effect. And that's what my new book, Reverse the Cause, is about. I'm going over all the root causes of every dis-ease that I can and just kind of explain it to people. There's no solutions in it.
I like that, because when I think
Answers are big for people.
right. And when you think about things, and I'm nowhere near as educated as you are on any of this. But when I talk to my parents about, my mom, for example, and myself as well, our ferritin is in the toilet.
Right.
And we don't know why.
Yeah.
We can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I always tell my, Mom, when you're going to the doctor, because I can't go with you, what is the root cause? Find out what the reason is.
They don't know.
But instead, they throw her on medications. And I'm like, no, Mom, we need to know why. Yeah. I worry less, obviously, about myself. I could care less about my ferritin. I'm more worried about my mom's ferritin.
Well,
why?
It's probably either a salt deficiency or a calcium deficiency.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The reason our ferritin is low.
Or it's a gluten intolerance.
Not a bleed somewhere?
Which everyone pretty much is intolerant to gluten, which is why it's in the poor four foods. If it starts blocking the villi in your small intestines, then the nutrition can't get in, Iron is typically a gut dysfunction.
Even though it's your ferritin? Ferritin is the reserve.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a complicated topic. So I'm
going to have my mom come here.
Have her come here.
Because
have her show up on Tuesdays and ask. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
If you can fix both hers and my ferritin, I'll cancel my doctor. I promise.
Well, we have a lot of people canceling their physicians. That's for sure. And, the thing that makes us different is they're all on video. We're collecting testimonials on video. That's something that was important to me. Seeing what Dr. Sebi went through in the 1980s when they brought him to court, and he brought his people in. And the judge let him off because the testimonials spoke for themselves.
Do you feel like you're like a new age Dr. Sabi?
I get compared to him all the time. He was not a head to toe healer, so I wouldn't put him on that level. But he certainly did a lot of good in the world. So he's a huge part of natural holistic healing
Right.
of the modern era. But he wasn't a head to toe healer. There's never been a head to toe healer. Dr. Sabi would not know what to do about that bunion.
So you're the one and only.
I'm the one and only.
I was at the hairdresser the other day and I was telling the girls, I'm like, I have this interview that I'm doing. And one of the ladies there, she said, ask him about menopause or premenopause.
Yeah.
Is it pre or peri? What's peri?
Peri, yeah.
Perimenopause is prior to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Premenstrual is PMS. And then peri is, before the actual menopause.
Okay. So what can women do when they're in that perimenopause, about their, their night sweats, the hot flashes throughout the day, the weight gain that you can't get off. I mean, it's horrible having to be a woman.
You got to slap some wild yams on your skin. Now, wild yam is really good for hormones. But listen, it's really...
Explain.
The answer that I have is not what women want to hear. Because the real true answer is get healthy from head to toe. If you were healthy from head to toe, you wouldn't have it in the first place. So if you reverse engineer that, it's not what people want to hear. Everyone wants the quick fix.
But we know just from years and years and years, we're going to go through menopause regardless.
But people just not that long ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, women didn't go through bad menopause because they didn't eat junk food. They weren't wearing tampons. They were leading a very natural life, and they ate high fat, high cholesterol diets, which is what you want. Fat nourishes all your soft tissue, including your brain, and cholesterol does as well, and cholesterol balances your hormones. I can't tell you how many people just on the live stream on Tuesdays, they'll mention libido, and I'll say, you probably got low cholesterol, and they go start eating eggs, and they come back 6 weeks later like, oh my God, I'm so horny.
So low cholesterol is low libido?
It can be. It's your hormones. Cholesterol is your hormones.
So
it's the master steroid, cholesterol. Sterile.
Huh.
So, it's not the enemy. Cholesterol is not the enemy. And that's another thing the medical monopoly did, is they made the cholesterol an enemy. This was done through a backdoor deal by a man named Ansel Keys, who was the Dr. Fauci of his era in the 1950s. And he cut a deal between the American Medical Association and Procter & Gamble to promote a new product called Crisco, which is the vegetable oil revolution, right? And so now we know, at least the smart people know, the people that really study know, that oils are actually very bad for us because they're oxidated by the air. And fat and cholesterol is good for us. And we know that because our ancestors did pretty well nutritionally.
Right.
And if they did die young, it was for other reasons like plumbing, no antibiotics, stuff like that. It had nothing to do with nutrition. So you had women who would go through menopause and it would last like 15 minutes. You'd have a weird feeling over your body for like 15 minutes and then all of a sudden it's over. Like, oh, there it is. It's over. Now women go through menopause for 5 years.
Right.
We're that unhealthy. The Industrial Revolution and the medical monopoly have destroyed us. from the inside out. Women are more open to change than men.
Yeah.
Definitely. Men are more stubborn. But there's just a big demographic of women that they just don't care. They just want to feel good, and they're going to get that from the chips. They're going to get that from the cake and the cookies and getting her nails done. And I don't got time for this bleeding stuff. Give me a tampon.
Right.
I ain't got time for it. And then when someone like me comes along and says it on social media, boy, some of them get mad.
Oh, yeah.
You're mansplaining. And they're like, how do you know? You've never been through it? And, you know, I have a lot of female clients for the last 13 years. And so I know too much about women.
I had the wonderful suggestion of asking people on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
if they had any personal questions for you.
Yeah.
So Kim asks, how are you so calm? I watch your videos all the time and have never seen anyone so peaceful.
Mm.
Your voice makes me feel safe. So how are you so calm?
It's taken over 10 years of work to, reach a level of mindfulness that creates a calm. And it just happens to stand out because most people aren't calm. That's really it.
I even noticed it's like you did like 360s. Totally different. I mean, you used to be an on-air personality. I mean, you were like boisterous and you are so calm.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see. Stephanie asks, are you afraid that the medical system may try and silence you? That's a good question.
I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it. I know it's going to happen. So I went into this mission knowing that if I reach a certain level, it's going to happen. So I wouldn't say I'm afraid. I already accept it.
Okay, so with those...
It's a tailor's bunion too.
Yo, I swear to God.
Look at there's a tailor's bunion on the other side of her foot.
No, that's just how I'm sitting.
No, I don't know.
This foot is completely flat right here.
Yeah, you got yourself some bunions there.
Feel my foot. It is completely flat. I was sitting like that.
I will feel your feet if you bring them over here. Okay.
My feet are clean, by the way. I took a shower this morning. That is definitely a bunion.
That's a bunion. You can feel.
But I do feet stretches like this. Look at.
Right. I can feel that joint right there. And so as your hallucis, which is your big toe, moves over, this is going to inflame right here. It might take another 10 years. But then the tailor's bunion, you can see the pinky toe is coming in, and this joint right here, put my leg down, can become inflamed too.
So what do I do?
Well, it's coming from your hips.
So what do I do?
That's how you walk. Well, we'll have to talk off camera about that.
We're going to have to do a P-ray.
Discovery analysis is needed.
Dan says, you tell us the problems, but never the solution. You talk in riddles. Why?
Because I want people to dig deeper.
To find the answers?
I don't feel like I'm a easy teacher, I'm not here to make it easy. And I want people to keep listening, dig deeper. And if they're not catching what I'm throwing, then I want them to hit the unfollow button and move away. I'm finding my people. And the only way to find your people is, through the fire. So I got to create the fire.
Got it. Let's see.
I'm more Joker than I am Batman.
Yeah, no kidding. I think the people that know you know that. Deborah asks, why aren't you married? It seems like an atrocity. It's an atrocity that you're not married.
Well, I'm way too young to be married.
That's not the real answer. What's the real answer?
Well, it's not a goal. It's not a goal. It actually doesn't even sound that pleasant for me. I put a lot of work into myself to be independent
Mm-hmm.
and to be capable by myself. So, because there was a time in my 20s, early 30s where I was always looking for the one and all this, and it becomes kind of this chase your tail type thing, and you get your heart broken and things like this. And I just realized I had an epiphany as I was going through the mindfulness training. Through the years, I just had that aha moment that relying on other people is not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I also realized that most men are really boys deep down, and they're looking for their mom. They're looking for a wife that like holds down the fort. And I just realized that I don't need that. I don't want that. I'll hold down the fort all by myself. And I do like dating though, but getting to a marriage point, it's not going to happen.
There's a Dr. Jones wants to know, how the hell are you so confident in what you say? How can you be so sure that all these conditions can be reversed, as you call it? He doesn't believe it. You sound like a grifter.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Okay, so how are you so confident?
Experience, testimonials, It's like somebody tells you can't slam dunk, and then you do slam dunk. And if you see me slam dunk, then you're either going to admit that I slam dunked or you're going to put,
Mm.
denial. And I think a lot of these medical doctors that attack me are in denial. You see the testimonials, I post them.
Right.
They're not commenting under those. They're commenting under something controversial like cholesterol is your friend.
Right.
Or dementia can be reversed, things like this. So they're cherry picking
Right.
what they want to criticize. And then I would just rebuttal that doctor and say, how are you so sure that every illness is genetic?
Mm-hmm.
Says who? Says what? A lot of them are unhappy, very unhappy people. They make their 200 grand a year and they went to med school for 10 years to be some healer. And they realize 10 years in, around the age 40,
They're not healing.
they're not healing. And that's a big punch in the gut. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens? They end up on alcohol. They end up on their own drugs.
Yep.
Right? They end up taking their own lives. That's what they do. Doctors and dentists commit all the time. And I think it's because they go through that realization around the age of 40. So everyone pretty much goes through something around the age of 40. That's why they call it the midlife crisis. And so a lot of it has to do with either your relationship status or your career status. And it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself?
Yeah.
And so you get a medical doctor who wanted to be a healer,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're not healing. And they're like, am I doing more harm than I am good?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, a cold water on the face.
Keisha says, these discovery videos that you put out, how do you do that? I've never seen anyone know what's wrong with people just from their photos. The way you zoom in and out and use the lines to show the balance of the body, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's the discovery analysis, and I invented that. What happened was, and when I went to school for the musculoskeletal system, you're taught how to evaluate from photos. But nobody's ever zoomed in and dropped the plumb line and done all this like as you're talking, and then pointing out the nutrition and connecting the dots. That all happened. Divinity again, I guess. I just give the credit there because I was just trying to help people, and it just happened. It just happened. I would have the pictures and I would be like, oh, what happens if I do this and do that and do this and do that? And, oh, if I drop this line here, I can actually see the shoulders if they're off. And if I zoom in, I can see if there's a bunion, or I can see if there's hammer toes, or
Or if their
the
knees are off.
their knees are off, or look at the fallen arches. And so none of my colleagues or teachers ever did that. I was never taught that. I created it out of necessity, I guess. And now I'm ready to start teaching people how to do it. So it's kind of an invention. But yeah, we can see what's going on with your body right through photos.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the thing that I love about it is, you can't really see nutrition. The best you can do is get a blood test.
Yep.
And even that, little bit of a grain of salt, because that's just what's floating through your blood, right? At that week.
At that moment.
At that moment. When I drop a plumb line to see if your ankle is lined up with your ear from the side view, you can't fake that.
Right.
It's revealing.
Mm-hmm.
And, when people can see their body in that way, they can have that aha moment, that realization that, whoa, I'm not as healthy as I thought I was.
I'm nervous for mine.
Yeah.
Trish asks, is there help for someone with ALS?
Yes. ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is one of the most nasty disorders anyone can have. Your body just shrivels up.
I've had patients.
Your muscles atrophy, and you pretty much usually die pretty quick.
It's awful.
Yeah. But this is, again, it's a nutritional issue, and you need fat, you need cholesterol, you need your gut to be absorbing it. Why else would muscles atrophy? It's a nutritional deficiency of soft tissue, and it's wearing away at your spinal cord and your brain. It's the cousin of multiple sclerosis. It's very similar. ALS is a more advanced thing than multiple sclerosis. But, the myelin sheath is made of cholesterol.
Yeah.
So, you have to ask yourself, you have to find out, is this ALS person on statin drugs? Have they been eating a low-fat diet their whole life? And the other question would be, do they have an autoimmune disorder?
Right.
Because if they have leaky gut, then the antibodies are attacking things, and it's all inflammation. It's just a question of what caused the inflammation.
Right.
You just reverse it. You just reverse engineer it. And in my book, Reverse the Cause, I lay out all the potential root causes of every condition, including ALS. So if you just reverse all of them, the body is going to heal.
Okay. Destiny says, I listen to you because of the serenity in your voice and your peaceful body language. Who are you? You're not normal, and I'm addicted to your videos.
Well, I'm definitely not normal.
No, I know.
And, sometimes it's not what I'm saying that matters. So there's health information, yes. But there are people that listen just to listen. And if I can relax them and get them to be peaceful, then I've done my job. So there are layers to this. There are layers to what I'm doing and what the mission is. It's not just about reversing disease. So not everyone's going to understand that. And so this person, Destiny, her name was, is catching what I'm throwing.
She sure is.
So
I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it dis-ease?
Because 2 reasons. The first reason is to emphasize ease. Dis-ease. It's the opposite of ease.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the word comes from. Huh. The second reason is so I can pause.
On that note, thank you guys for watching. I hope that we've answered all of your burning questions.
The magic.
Oh,
is in
See, he paused.
the magic is in the silence.
You just ruined my whole thing.
Bye, everyone.